This episode of the podcast is brought to you by J.D. Chapman Insurance Agency. Are you an aspiring business owner or entrepreneur looking to be part of New York's multi-billion-dollar cannabis industry? If so, the decisions you make in these early stages are imperative to your future success. And I'll tell you from personal experience that you will face risk on a daily basis. So it's important to have a comprehensive insurance program in place with a trusted, reliable partner. J.D. Chapman offers special insurance for cannabis growers, medical and adult use dispensaries, edibles manufacturers, testing labs, ancillary businesses, and more. Available coverage includes general liability, product liability, excess liability, and workers' comp. In this exciting and rapidly growing industry, it's important to have a partner you can trust. Contact J.D. Chapman today at 315-986-4062 for all your cannabis insurance needs. J.D. Chapman, from seed to sale, they have you covered.
The views and opinions expressed on this show belong solely to the hosts and their guests and do not reflect the views of any outside institutions unless explicitly stated.
What's up, everyone? My name is Steve Vanderwall, and I'm the host of Cannabis Cum Laude, a podcast devoted entirely to cannabis. This podcast will cover a full spectrum of topics, including cultivation, business, medicine, politics, culture, advocacy, and everything in between. Because let's face it, the cannabis industry is very complicated. It's robust, and it has a ton of moving parts. So it's going to be my job to help you understand it a little bit better. So tune in every week for a brand new episode. And if you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. And if you really, really, really like the show and are interested in sponsoring, please shoot me an email at logistics@cannabiscumlaude.com. Now enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cannabis Cum Laude. I'm here with my good friend Joshua Waterman, the co-founder of the Legacy Growers Association, a brand new nonprofit organization looking to finding ways to safely bring the legacy growers into the legal market. How you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well, as always. Yeah, no, we're super excited about this.
What's before we get into it, what's been new and good in your world?
I mean, mostly just the stuff we're doing with Legacy. It's been really exciting. We're starting up some grow classes and stuff. It's going to be pretty dope.
Hell yeah.
Smoking a lot of weed still, so that's good.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
So Legacy Growers Association is a brand new nonprofit. What exactly is it, and why was it formed?
So to understand the Legacy Growers Association, you need to understand the legacy community. There's been an active community of people representing cannabis and successfully distributing and cultivating cannabis through the past 100 years in New York and also literally the rest of the world. So the Legacy Growers Association was founded to give those people a voice. There's always been, as we've seen, like New York progress with creating regulations and going legal with the new industry, there's been a lot of different associations that represent hemp farmers, that represent regular farmers, that represent a lot of different people, but there hasn't been one for legacy growers. And that's because the legacy community is scared to go forwards because they've always been looked at as criminals, and that's, we're trying to really break that stigma, and we're trying to give them an avenue to go legal, because that's ultimately what has to happen for cannabis to be successful.
Well, I think you and I could both agree that in order for us to really optimize how successful this industry is, we have to build a bridge between the legacy and legal market. I know there's all these facilities popping up and licenses going out, but the real people who are providing products and distributing products in our community already have facilities, build outs, SOPs, people. But it is risky. There's issues in taxes, I know, are a big one. People who've been running large scale operations for a long time, what happens when you say, hey, I want to do the right thing, I want to come to the legal market? Are they going to start digging in your books and asking questions and, end up finding yourself in prison or something, or having some penalties? How do we possibly, that's risky.
100%.
So I think that I don't necessarily think that anybody in the country has figured out how to build that bridge and really successfully get these people into the legal market.
And honestly, right, and that's exactly the problem, is the only people that are qualified to do that our legacy people. You know what I mean? Like, we are the people that really have to come forwards and bring legislation that makes sense. Because I was at the event, an event last week, and the OCM was there. They had a stand there, and I was talking to them, and at first I was like, "You guys know how much you fucked this shit up?" You know what I mean? And they were like people just got to really give us a break.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know how to do this. Like, we don't know legacy people, and legacy people, like, it's partly our fault for not going forward when we should. Like, now is the time where legacy people should, if they want to go into the legal market, they should step up, and they need to they need to go to their town council meetings and their city council meetings and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and you guys need to cater to me because I created this industry, and we're not going to be left out like we have in every other state.
Well, there's a huge lack of trust between the underground market and politics, and now I will say this, and I am frustrated about some of the policies and some of the, the regs and the way that the bill was written. But that being said, from the, kind of the talks I've attended and the seminars I've attended with OCM people, all the way from, top OCM, even the governor, all the way down to local politicians and state politicians, especially in Rochester, it really does seem like there is a concerted, genuine effort to do this right and not fuck anybody who's been doing this. Rochester, Mike Patterson, Mitch Gruber, Senator Cooner. Yeah, shout out to Big Daddy Mike.
Mike, you my boy.
These guys they care, dude, and they're building trust in the legacy market, and through Senator Cooney, we know how impactful he's been. He's been showing up at these talks. They've really, that was the biggest thing that legacy people were saying is like, how do we trust that we're not going to get fucked? And right. I do think that there is an effort to build that bridge.
There is. And also to add to that, there's also an effort to break that bridge down. Like, there's an effort that, like, there's a group of people and legislators in particular, I think, that do not want legacy. I think there's a big part of New York that really regrets ever even mentioning legacy as supporting them into the legal industry. But I actually met Mike Patterson for the first time at a workshop in Rochester, and I was talking to him about things, and that dude literally, like, we need more people like that will come and talk to me like a normal person, not with your fucking head up, and we can have a discussion of, like, real things that need to be done, not like butter-coated bullshit. Like, big shout out to him. He really changed my perspective on, legislators in the community up here for sure.
Yeah, the first time I ever met him, I was like, this dude is so cool. He's so normal, and he gets it. And, and he has, some influence to make some of this shit that, people like us talk about a reality. And,
100%.
I hope that all municipalities in New York can, be lucky enough to have people like the Mike Pattersons, the Mitch Grubers, and the Senator Coonies. Because I'll tell you right now, Rochester, I think we're in a really good position.
Rochester's leading the forefront. I tell you, I've been to all, other than downstate, I've been to all the other different meetings and different council meetings and stuff, and they don't do it like Rochester. Like, they're not catering to legacy like Rochester is. And I really wish it was the rest of the state was doing it that way as well. But it's a hard thing to ask at the same time,
It's challenging. And no one's really done it. No, everyone's tried, and it's always been, everybody wants to do it. Everybody, obviously, we'd love to bring the legacy to legal, but that is it's much more than legislation. It's much more than incentives. At the core of it, it's trust,
right.
And it's decades and decades and decades of broken trust, which, is a tough thing to mend.
It's a tough thing to mend, and it's tough for even legislators to ask. I know I've talked to so many different legacy people at this point because I've kind of been like spokesman for a lot of them because they don't want to go legal. And like me, myself, I stopped growing a lot of stuff at my house just so that I could be the face of doing the shit because it needs to be done. Yeah. And like somebody needs to be at the forefront pushing these legislations or we are going to get left behind.
Yeah. Why do you think we would be left behind?
We would be left behind. Well, because already right now we have a missed opportunity with hemp farmers getting licenses. They're able to brand themselves in a way that we can't. And in fact, we're not only not allowed to brand ourselves that way, but we're being penalized to continue and getting tax citations and things like that. There has to be a way to involve legacy, and it has to happen now. Like, it's, in my opinion.
I want to talk a little bit about the hemp license holders getting the adult use licenses. And let me premise this with there's nobody in the state that wants to see this industry succeed more than me. I want everybody to do well because I know they can, but I also recognize when policy is done where the optics look great, but where the outcome is likely going to be bad. And here's why. because, and I don't know what your opinion, I'm a little bit frustrated that the hemp licensee holders got access to the first cultivation licenses. Now, I know that it was a seeds in the ground and much more of an outdoor thing, right? But anybody who knows this industry knows the best weed in the world is grown in a completely indoor controlled environment, right? There's no
small scale.
Small scale. There's no debating that, right? So you leave these legacy, and most of these people are legacy, right? So now you give out these first rounds of cultivation licenses, which is going to be primarily outdoor grown cannabis. And then you're going to give out these dispensary licenses. Who knows when, the rest of the license. So you're now, my point is that you're now you're going to burden these hemp farmers with regulations and license fees and taxes and all that. You're going to keep the indoor cultivators out where they're still going to shine. And now you're going to force these hemp farmers to compete with the indoor guys. And I just feel after 4 years of getting kicked in the teeth in hemp farming, you're setting up these hemp farmers to get kicked in the teeth again, but way worse.
Way worse, dude.
Way
I couldn't
worse.
agree more. And that's what's sad. And it's even because I go to these events and these meetings all the time, and like there'll be all these hemp growers that are like, how like I've ran my hemp business for 3 years and lost all my fucking money and lost everything that I had, and I tried my best. Is that going to change with doing marijuana? And they keep on telling him like, yes. They keep boosting these heads. Oh, you're going to be able to do well. And it's like, you're doomed. I like to make a public challenge right now. Any hemp grower in New York, any of your product, I will put my product against yours in the fall.
Same.
Dude, and let's see what happens. Like, I'm just telling you, and it's not your fault. That's what's sad, is that it's not the hemp farmers' fault. And the hemp farmers should get licensing. You know what I mean? They should be able to do this, and it's just not being done correctly.
Well, and listen, I'm not saying that it's impossible to grow really high quality weed outdoors. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Great terp profiles on an outdoor weed. Sometimes the bag appeal isn't always there, but which is very important. But you can't stress the plant outside like you can stress it inside. You just can't. And not to mention, let's pretend you grew the most banging crop outdoors with how the weather fluctuates and how, just this week alone, the temperature was 40 and it was 85. You get down to the end of summer, you start getting some rain, those night temperature drops or day temperature drops. If you're not harvesting, a week, 1 acre of good cannabis is a lot to harvest. If you're not in that, 48-hour window, mold, all this other bullshit that, what happens if it fails testing? There's so many risks of growing outdoors coupled with really the inability to grow top shelf cannabis that I just feel all these people have had, hot air blown up their rear ends about this licensing. And I think a lot of them are doomed, unfortunately.
And if you even think about the different active like CBD cultivation centers or grows right now, none of them are prepared for this. There's maybe like 10 to 15 that actually have, light depth greenhouses. Do they, and efficient enough to really grow quality cannabis. My one buddy got his license. He literally has a field, dude, a field next to his house. His big dilemma right now is figuring out how to put a bathroom in his barn to keep up with what they have to do, their compliance. It's like he can't, because he's not fit for this. Like, you should see the compliance, dude. It's crazy. Have you seen it?
I can imagine.
Oh my God, dude, the carbon footprint and all this stuff. If you're a little farmer, my buddy was a horse farmer that got it, and then he switched to CBD to try to make some money and lost his ass forever. And now he's going to lose it again. And not only that, but he has to take millions of dollars of loans out to try to not, mess this up.
Even if he'll even be able to have access to capital, which likely he won't because he's a cannabis business.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And I don't know. It's a tough. I really do feel bad for the hemp farmers, and a lot of them are good people, and a lot of them, I've thrown a lot of shade on hemp farmers, but it's like it's not all of them that are that
and it's
way.
not the hemp farmers' fault per
Right.
se. This is. I think the outdoor market, it will be great for distillate, right? Edibles are a big part, but from working with distillate in the past, and working on an outdoor farm, if you have, we did 700 plants of CBD flower. Like, it was 2 years ago. I was helping my buddy out in Mount Morris that I was telling you about, little 1 acre crop. I actually think he has a cultivation license now.
Oh, good for him.
The weight that 700 plants, it was damn near like 1,100 pounds, right? And let's say he takes 30 pounds of good, biomass to make a liter of distillate, and all of a sudden you got 120 farmers with all this I mean, how much distillate and extract are we really going to need?
Right.
All that's going to happen at first is that the first people that get who already have the infrastructure are going to get out to market. You're going to be paying $10,000, $15,000 a kilo for D9 distillate. Everyone else is going to ramp up, and it's going to plummet.
And they're gonna, and that's not gonna be the legacy community's fault, because the legacy has gotten so much hate for destroying the market in other states, but it's really how things are being regulated, and it's a shame, and I really do feel bad for the hemp farmers because they're not prepared.
But I think that, to kind of go back to our conversation of the day is, I think it's not because they're doing this intentionally. It's because they don't know. And even if you are a consumer and you understand the plant, to understand the industry is really different. And it's a thriving industry, and it's been underground for all these years.
Exactly.
It's been secret. And to be able to start to extract that information, that's legitimate from people who are legitimate producers and legitimate operators, and then be able to take that and put it into policy that works is complicated. I can't imagine how terribly difficult the OCM's job. I'll tell you, I would not want that job. But I think it's going to be groups like the Legacy Growers Association or the New York Green Coalition, which is out of Rochester. Shout out to them.
Definitely.
Who are comprised of legacy market operators that have the opportunity to flip this industry around. Because if it's not folks like you, I don't really know how the legacy market is going to function in this industry.
No, 100%. And that's a big thing, is all legacy has to come together and, do this together. And really, in my opinion, I think that instead of giving hemp licensing, all these provisionary licenses out, they should have worked with the legacy market to create this legislation. And I know when I had talked to the OCM at that event, they were like, oh, well, we've been waiting for legacy to come to us. But not for nothing, we are the ones who already have this established industry. We created this, and not only did we do it, but we did it successfully and illegally while everyone was trying to attack us. You know what I mean? So we already know how to run this. Just like I tried telling a different guy, they said, oh, is legacy concerned about going forward and staying in the gray market? What? Legacy is thrilled, dude. We have people that never grew weed in their life trying to grow weed illegally and put it on the shelves. And that's going to continue to happen unless we come together and make some kind of regulation where legacy can grow legally,
Now, I don't know to what extent you guys are working on policy or from a policy or legislative, perspective, just from your personal opinion, what type of things would you like to see in place in a bill that would make a legacy market operator, comfortable to come to the market? What do you think? What are you hearing from your constituents?
And that's such a difficult thing. I mean, I think the biggest problem that everyone's having right now is defining who a legacy person is. Just knowing how people are, you can't, is it on an honor system? You know what I mean? I think that's really where we have to start is defining what legacy is and who legacy is and who deserves the credit for staying in that has been in the illegal market. Yeah. Right now, we're not really, we're trying to put together legislation, but there's so many things going on. Like you said, we're a new non-for-profit. The hope of the legacy growers when we first started it was to have it as almost an umbrella company for all these other organizations, because we keep meeting more people and networking, and they're already doing this stuff. Just like you mentioned the Green Coalition, or I know, shout out Jeff, he's got a bunch of stuff going on in Rochester. He has legacy meetings, and it's this is kind of the legal entity where you can label your meetings as we have a network that actually reaches legislation. Yep. That's kind of the goal of it. We're working with people downstate right now. So really, we're hoping that it just brings everybody together so that we can create these things together, because we don't have all the answers ourselves.
And really, I think you can't just have one coalition. If you do, you got to have branches in every other city, but every other city and place is going to have slightly different wants. So I think having these separate, these separate organizations like the LGA, like the Green Coalition, organizations like that, operating independently for their cities, but also as a group, for more statewide change. I think that's going to be huge. I'm honestly really excited. Since I met you, you've been kind of had the same talking point. I want to get a nonprofit. I want to do this, and you did it, and it's fucking awesome, dude. So shout out to you,
dude. I appreciate it. Do you remember what my first non-for-profit idea was?
Still a great idea. And then they're like, no. That's quite,
I still think it's a good idea too. But yeah, I appreciate that, man. We've been working I mean, just like right now in New York and in cannabis, it's like a 24/7 job.
It really
it's
is.
crazy. I just can't even keep up with it. But luckily, like shout out to the co-founder Brandy. She's like literally the most incredible person I've ever met in my life. She created the whole website, the budget. She did all the stuff that mattered while I just did all like the bullshit talking stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, she's super amazing. Hopefully she couldn't be here today, but hopefully we'll get her in next time. Or
Shout out to you, Brandy. Keep up the good work.
She has the whitest teeth in the world, too. Bro, for real, we did a photo shoot the other day, and we were taking like pictures together. She made my teeth look so bad, bro.
It's like, we're stopping to get white strips on the way home.
I used whitening strips this morning. Yeah, do they look good?
Yeah, they look great.
Okay, thanks.
Blinded me, actually. I need to borrow your shades.
Yeah, but no, it's really exciting. And like seeing Legacy come together the way it is now early on, like that's the key word is we have to do this before they have, legislation and things written that are aren't in our favor.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way you really create the equal opportunity.
They're listening though, and they want to hear from
It's
legacy
crazy.
market operators.
It's fucking crazy, dude. Honestly, every time I talk to them, I think you're a fucking cop. Like that's my first thought, and then I think, well, I stopped doing everything, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the big problem is these are the same people that have been, attacking legacy people and illegal growers for so long, and now they're like, oh, come here and share information with us. They're like, come here and work with us, and Legacy's like, bro, like, why would we do that? Like, and not for nothing, but a lot of legacy people don't want to go in a legal market because they're gonna not make as much money.
Yeah.
But so we really need for this to be successful, we have to.
There will be some legacy market operators, no matter how good the incentive and no matter how protected they are, will never enter because they don't have to.
100%.
They don't. Why would they mess up a good thing?
It's funny because when pop-ups first started, I had really high hopes and everyone was like, oh, we're going to team up and prepare for when Big Canna comes and this and that. But then what actually happened was a bunch of people turned greedy and they started selling a bunch of bad fucking products. And like, that's not all of them, but a vast majority of them. And that's why we have to have regulations and that's why we have to do things that way.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great product around here.
No.
The flower game is so weak.
It's weak, bro.
Speaking of flower, and if you don't want to talk about this, we can obviously cut it out.
Yeah.
How's the garden?
Dude, it's dope.
Are you crushing?
It's so good. Dude, Athena, I'm telling you, Athena sponsors me now. And it's like,
serious, dude.
What? Yeah, it was like the biggest moment of my life so far.
Wow,
like,
congrats.
Yeah. But no, it's going really good. I've been switching some things up, actually. I'm trying to run some of the things that the hemp farmers are growing to see if there's a way that they can do it and not fail. So I got a bunch of autos prior because like most of the hemp growers right now are all growing autos because they're dumb. But
I saw that video put out yesterday. That's so funny. I used to dick on people growing autos, and there's an auto right there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which that thing is flowering, by the way. Dude, can you imagine when that happens? These hemp farmers, they plant 4,000 hemp.
And by the way, they flower.
They flower right here?
Yeah.
Dude, I feel so bad.
I know. Well, I think the goal is they want to get 2 harvests out of it.
Right. Well, the goal is they want to, flood. They want to put products on the market before they have to give it to dispensaries, so they make more money.
You would have better luck growing in a 10 light room and crushing it once a year or a couple times a year.
100%.
Over that,
100%. It's
bigger
crazy.
is not better. I tell everybody, we got an acre. It's too big.
Right.
Get yourself a couple, 20 foot by 10 foot rooms and smash kill out of it,
100%. No, definitely.
You're using Athena, you said?
I am using Athena.
And your cocoa, right?
Cocoa and peat.
Peat, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Everybody shits on me because peat is not environmentally friendly, not sustainable, right? Because they dig it out of the ground. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know what peat really is, like where it comes from. I think they just, do you know? People act like they know, but I don't feel like they really do.
I'm pretty sure it's like peat, like a moss. And I think it comes from bogs. Some like fucking.
That's a made up word, Steve.
You never heard of a bog?
Bogs?
B-O-G-S, like a bog. Not a bong. It comes from bongs. Yeah.
It comes from peat. That would be sustainable, if peat came
Recycled
from
bong water.
bones. Yeah. Okay, we're getting off topic.
Anyway.
But
No,
the grow's going great.
Good.
It's going really good.
Your flower always just looks fucking so good.
It's sad because like I said, since I was we had a rally the other day in Oswego because of the local police there shutting down a farmer's market that we had. And because of me taking the mask off, like, I don't know, I felt like I had to shut down a lot of stuff. And it wasn't like, that's what's funny is I bet when you hear that, it sounds like, wow, he had such a big operation. People think that, and it's like, dude, I live in a fucking 1,800 square foot house. You know what I mean? I have my fucking bedrooms. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not that impressive. You know, it's not a lot of cannabis. Like, but you can still do well. And that's what people should be able to do that. That's one of the things we really want to fight for.
Well, I'd be interested to see if they, and I think I'm actually going to a zoning and regulations meeting tonight.
Me too.
In Rochester?
Isn't it tomorrow?
Pretty sure it's tonight.
Is it? Oh,
in
shoot.
Rochester, the city of Rochester?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tonight.
Malika, is she the one doing it?
Malik?
Yeah.
Evans?
Yeah.
The male mayor?
She's a male mayor?
He is a male mayor.
Oh, my goodness.
Shout out to Malik Evans.
Shout out to my boy Malika.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah, I seen him once, too.
Yeah, he seems pretty cool. I've never talked to him, but he's rowing in the same direction that all the, the Coonies and Pattersons are rowing in. He's a cannabis fan.
I'm not trying to throw shade on the dude's name, but you can change it. That's the thing. You can do it, dude.
That's funny.
That's funny. I love you, Mayor. No, he is really good. Didn't he grow up like in the hood too?
I have no idea. I don't really know much of his backstory, but I think he is a Rochester. I think he grew up in Rochester.
I believe so.
We did the Rochester Clean Sweep, the Vandy's team, a couple weeks ago.
Shout out Vandy.
Yeah. And he was there and gave like a really cool speech, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he seems really, really cool. He seems really for legacy and minority growers, like, which is awesome. It just sucks because no one has faith in the state like that, because New York is kind of known to say they're going to do stuff and then they do whatever they actually want to do, and they make it seem like they are. It's so funny because when I showed up to the cannabis, the table for the cannabis board, the OCM, it was like 3 women, 1 woman of color, and 2. And I was thinking, well, this looks picture perfect for the equity program. Too bad you guys are passing hemp license. That's what I was telling them. But it's just like, that's how New York is, and that's how I feel towards New York, and that's how most people do, is that you guys are going to say stuff and we can't trust you.
Well, New York is a very, like all politics, it's a very optics driven, state where, I don't know how it all works. But I agree that, a lot promises aren't necessarily made, and some things are done in the name of optics rather than in the name of, the quality of the industry and how it really functions. But it's all part of a legal market. This type of shit happens in every other industry. It definitely is prevalent in this industry. But I think, that's just part of being in the legal game now.
100%.
You got to play the game.
Yeah. Did you read any of the articles about the Oswego situation?
I did. I wanted to hear your kind of firsthand account on what happened.
It was very interesting, actually. So it was a very low-key farmers-only event, and we were going as Legacy, and we go to these events and we talk to farmers and we try to educate them a little bit about licensing, because we'd actually, on a side note real quick, we actually did a survey with like 60 people, Legacy people, of if you are getting information from the state that's like adequate with cannabis. 100% said no. 100% were like, we don't really know what's going on or like what we should be doing. But so that's why we go to these events. We try to like be on the forefront of actually talking to the Legacy people and be like, yo, you can get a micro license, and they don't know what that is, So we were there doing that. And then one of the dudes, because I kind of run around with the same group of farmers, and I try to go to the same events they do because they're really good people and they have quality products and they're good growers. So one of the dudes goes, "Oh, fuck." And then you look over and there's literally like 8 cops busting in, right? And these dudes just ran up in there, which it's not really legal. But apparently the story we got after the fact was that there was some kind of informant or some kind of a complaint prior to the event. So they set up with a couple people to go in there and kind of watch what was going on. And they said they saw cannabis sales going on, which they saw, donations going on, which is like kind of what the Legacy market thought they should be doing. They thought that was appropriate, and by the laws, which I still think is, to be honest with you.
Well, the sticker shit is perfectly legal. It's frowned upon, but it's even the DA, I think his last name's Flynn, out of Buffalo, pretty much came out and said, I don't necessarily agree with it, but there's nothing wrong with
It's
it.
not illegal according to the state, and that's why it was so ridiculous. And the people that I understand taking actions against some people that are distributing bad products and that are wholesaling and making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're just taking advantage of the current situation. But these people, dude, they must have got 3 pounds of weed from 10, 15 people. Like, dude, and that's why you didn't see in the paper. You never saw anything about arrest in the paper. And that's why it was disturbing, and that's why we went to do that. Because these farmers literally, there's multiple farmers from that event keep their taxes from their donations. Like, they keep taxes out of that because they want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, those are the people that you're penalizing.
Well, let's remember, first of all, I understand that licenses aren't out yet and you're technically not allowed to transact cannabis in any way, but it's happening. And why would you shut it down? And why would you send 8 sheriffs and county paid sheriffs? That's a lot of tax dollars,
Dude.
right? You're worried about making tax dollars. How about you stop spending tax dollars? It must have been the most criminal, like a bunch of farmers. Imagine rolling up to a bunch of tomato farmers. Like, that's probably what
that was the same thing.
Criminals, dude. I can't wrap my head around it.
There was some too. There were some other vendors that don't even bring flour. They're literally just trying to build their brand because they're trying to do things the appropriate way by like the knowledge that they have. And it's like, those are the people that you came in and took their shit.
And you think that's going to build trust? You think that's going to want the legacy market to come when you're doing a sting on a farmer's market, dude?
And it's
Get a
interesting,
life.
right? Exactly. It's interesting because the people had a court date, right? Everyone they took their information down and they received like an email or a letter or something. No one received anything until we did the rally. And then after the rally, everyone got a message from the city police department, which was awesome. And
What'd they say?
so the message was just summoning them to court, that they had a court date and blah, 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 blah. But so the people get to the court date and they had misdemeanor charges, right? And literally, like, the farmer's like, dude, that's not even a thing. Like, you can't, like, it's not even a charge. And the state or the town, the city did not know what to do. Like, they had no idea. They ended up dropping it down to like a $50, what is it called? Disorderly conduct or something stupid that, or just like a fine, because they weren't even prepared for that.
We're not sure what you did wrong, but it looks bad. Here's a fine. Oh, okay, nice.
From what I've talked to, it sounded like the police thought something else was going on. Like, they thought it was like a cover up for like an actual drug ring, like selling like cocaine or something.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, yeah, they really made a mistake.
There's actually a sex trafficking market.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus.
No, it was pretty crazy. It just sucks because like a lot of those people are just doing things appropriately to the best of their knowledge, and it's not for nothing, but it's the information that the state has provided us. Like, that's what we were going off of, and they still penalized us for that.
And I think you can't help that. And I know it's just the way the kind of, democracy works, and, starting a new, letter agency like the OCM and CCB, it takes time. But how long are people? You can't punish people who have been waiting for their whole lives to this, let alone it's been over, a year and from May, June, damn near 14 months since we legalized. You're going to start penalizing these people. I will say that at the last cannabis event, it was held at the Strong Museum of Play, held by the Rochester Chamber of Commerce. Crystal Peoples-Stokes was one of the keynote speakers. Obviously, she was the champion of the MRTA. Awesome woman. There was a question from the audience that, and I'm going to summarize this a little bit. Essentially said, "How are you planning on cracking down with the gray market operators and dispensaries?" And she pretty much said, "It's not their fault that we can't get our act together." And I said,
Dude,
I was not expecting that,
right?
because that was a thing that everyone's been wondering. Is like, she goes, "We sent CDs out, but it's not." I was like, wow, shout! I was like, props to that, because you let these people make a little bit of cash,
so
right?
they can start their legal business.
Yeah,
bro,
you got to. You think you're just day one going to say, we're going to start a business, and boom, you're going to have this awesome business. Brands take forever to build. Crops literally take what? We know, 90 days from start to finish. Like, you need time. So,
and that's the thing, is we needed the resources more than the hemp farmers. And that's why I have a problem with it. Because the hemp farmers, man, most legacy people I know, we don't know senators and mayors, and, we can't get $100,000 from our friends. Yeah. Like, that's not something that happens. So that's why I felt that resources need to go to legacy first because we were the people that needed it the most. We needed the help the most.
What I will say, in some of the legacy people that I've talked to, because people have said, legacy people, they don't know how to get cash and blah, blah. That's to my understanding, that's not the case. Most people who've been doing it and doing it well for a long time are flushed with cash.
Yeah.
It's not about the resource. It's about how do you use that resource, these resources, now that you've accumulated over years and years, without screwing yourself.
You can't. Right. No, that's exactly the problem.
It's challenging.
And really, and this is solely my opinion, but I feel like it should be a forgive and forget type of shit. Like, if you got the cash and it was from cannabis, you were in the illegal market, that should be clean.
Good for you.
Wash it. Because it wasn't our fault, man. Like,
and not to mention, like, they ran the risk of getting caught. Like, okay, getting whacked for possession or distribution is one thing. Getting whacked for tax evasion or tax-related financial shit at that scale, no one wants that.
No, yeah, that's crazy. And hopefully there'll be a way. Like, I talked to, actually, Mike Patterson was talking about some way they were gonna do back taxes on it or something. And if that's their way, honestly, there's a lot of legacy people that would be okay with that. That would be like, okay, well, as long as you're telling me you're not going to arrest me, you know what I mean? As long as you're telling me you're not going to penalize me for something like that, I would pay back taxes on my shit. Even though, and I think that's legacy going above and beyond to meet.
I don't know about that. I feel like people would be really hesitant to do that because not only are you going to be forced to pay how many years of back taxes, but then you got to deal with all the the new regulations, the licensing fees, compliance people build out on top of getting whacked for taxes. I think that would be a deal breaker to a lot of people.
Yeah. I think it would appeal to like a certain class of legacy people, because I think like the bulk of legacy growers are on a very small scale, but there are some legacy growers that are pumping millions of dollars of shit out, you know what I mean? And like those people I think would be appropriate to that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been funding, like, have you ever not been able to get weed in New York? Dude, since I was fucking 13, I've been smoking weed in New York, and I always got it just fine.
And you could get it from 6 different people whenever you want.
Right. So somebody's, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that the state really needs to involve legacy more. And I know that they are trying, just no one has figured out the language. And that's exactly what the Legacy Growers Association is to be. It's a place where legacy people can come anonymously and talk to the organization. We can push their ideas to legislators, and we just got to do it now.
Yeah.
We got to do it now.
Now. Because right now there's, regs are still being written. There's, they're in the legislative session right now, I'm pretty sure, right? That is, yes. Yeah, I think still in session right now. I mean, the time is now. Time was yesterday.
Right. No, yeah, it really is. It really is. But and it's hard, just like we said before, it's hard to shame legacy people for not going forward. You know what I mean? It's a scary thought to have been. Can you imagine growing weed illegally your entire life, and distributing it and having that be your career, and then you're hiding from the cops and you're moving, dude. It's the way you got to move in legacy, like, is different. You know what I mean? You got to be.
I mean, and I've heard something that was really offensive because I know some people who are some of the most brilliant people that I know, and they've been running legacy for that's what they do, and these people have SOPs, work just as hard, if not harder than everybody else, accountants, all that, and they have to do that under the fucking radar, dude.
Right. It's like these business owners think that they have one-ups on legacy people. It's like we're running a better business.
Like they need to be mentored, dude. That shit pissed me off.
Yeah, I know.
You know that.
Yeah, I know. Exactly, dude. It's crazy. No, it's crazy, and it's offensive. It's offensive to legacy people, but and that's why just Legacy Growers Association, and we're trying. We're trying to really just like accompany everyone in New York. Yeah. We're trying to go forward because our main goal, we want to have legends, we want to have legacy people, legends at the top of the cannabis industry where they should be. To me, it's a bizarre thought to think you could legalize cannabis and just go, well, everybody that was doing it and really got it to where it is today, fuck them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like to me, that doesn't even like make sense in any rational mind.
Well, the truth is, they'll never go away. It'll just the underground market is going to be the guiding hand that determines how successful the regulated market is. If you have low barriers to entry and you allow the right people to get licenses and focus on small business and keep corporate canna out as much as possible, the legal industry will succeed. If you start figuring out how to way to properly put in legacy market, the industry will succeed. But if you don't do either of those things, you're going to be constantly waging war with the underground market, and the underground market will always win because it's winning in California. Underground market is like 20% of the market. 80% of it is underground still.
Yeah.
I mean, they're killing them with taxes. I mean,
that's ridiculous.
The underground and legacy market is not going anywhere. It'll just be of what percentage of them can we get in the legal market to really contribute to, all the good things that we hope that the legal industry can do for our state and communities.
Right, exactly. And a lot of people don't like that I say this, but it's like the state should be really gracious to legacy people. You know what I mean? Like they should be coming to us for help. Yep. It shouldn't be the other way around.
Highly incentivized. Like, hey, not only are we going to give you amnesty, tax breaks, waive your licensing fees.
Right.
Like,
because they can't beat us.
No.
You can't beat legends, dude. There's no way. That's what one of the reporters we did the interview for the legacy or for the Oswego incident, and he was like, "Oh well, is everybody shaking now?" And it's like, dude, no one gives a shit. Like no one is scared at all. We weren't scared when it was legal. We're not scared now. And if y'all don't do it accordingly, if you don't come and cater to us, we're just going to take the market, bro. Like, sorry, but that's what's going to happen. Yeah. And you guys can keep taking equipment that can be that thing, but it shouldn't have to be that way.
Have to.
So hopefully we're really hopeful. We're teaming up with some people downstate that wrote out some legislation. I haven't really been able to read it totally, but it seems really promising. And I'm really glad because I'm not capable of doing that. Maybe Brandy could, but
it's tough. Writing policy is tough. Every word matters.
Right. No, 100%. It's crazy. You got to make it. Yeah. You got to make it not make sense for them.
Can you water it down for me, please? So I want to know, I know you guys are doing, it seems like a membership drive and really trying to get some eyes on and get some people to join. Do you, is there anything you want to, call out to people who are interested? Where can they find you? How can they join?
Dude, 100%. So Legacy Growers, you can go to the website, which is legacygrowers.org. Go to our Instagram, which is the Legacy Growers, and you can talk to us on there. Or you can talk to us through email. But like right now, like that's what the biggest thing I want to stress for this is like, the Legacy Growers Association, even if you're not a member and you're a legacy person, you already are Legacy Growers Association. You know what I mean? Like, so if you are operating now, like you are already this thing and you can take with it and do with it what you please. We are there for you. And it's just like I said before, like there's a lot of people that are already doing this stuff all around. I've talked to people from downstate to Buffalo, like everywhere. Legends and legacy people are already doing this stuff. We're just not doing it together and we're not doing it loud enough right now. Like we need to talk to the right people, and everyone is scared to do that. But yeah, our goal this year, we want to get 2,600 members. That's our goal, is to get 2,600 members. I mean, I think we got like 80 now, and we just launched a few weeks ago. Yeah, so huge. It's pretty cool. And we're doing some, we have a free clone and seed seminar that we're doing. We're going to give away a bunch of free plants. It's going to be dope. I'm sure everyone will kill them, but that's all right. I mean, yeah, don't.
And if they do, they'll blame you.
Right. That's like, don't ask me. Like, I'm not, yeah.
As soon as this thing leaves my hand to yours, it's your problem.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna put a disclaimer on it and everything. Like I might put like a tomato plant in one of them just to see if somebody doesn't realize. Yeah.
Like, we got these big juicy red nugs. Yeah. Like, all right.
That's funny. But yeah, no, I mean, that's the best way to get in touch. And if like, there's just like these people with the legislation, that's somebody that they're not even a part of shit. They already were doing this downstate. They already have their team together, but they are the Legacy Growers Association still. You know what I mean? That's why we're doing like co-founders, because it's like really at the end of the day, those people already founded their own thing. So it's like, let's just, do this together and really push it hard right now. And then we'll figure the rest out later. Okay. Because everything else, like just everything, even the OCM, they're like, dude, we're building a plane and flying at the same time. And that's exactly what we're doing. Yeah. So we need lots of people to build. Because if not, we're fucking going to die.
Yeah. Building the plane while flying it blindfolded. That's what it seems like right now. I have this funny idea for a T-shirt for the Legacy Growers Association that we should make.
Dude, let's do it.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I'm really, and I say this genuinely, I'm really excited about this organization, and I don't think there could be any better person or better people at the face of this. You're running. You're the face. You're a good dude to your core. I'll fucking love you,
dude. And, I appreciate it.
I support you any way that I can, and I think anybody who listens to this podcast should support the Legacy Growers Association. Good people doing good things for our industry.
That's awesome. Thank you so much,
brother.
man. Right back at you.
Hell yeah. Guys, there's been another episode of Cannabis Cum Laude here with Joshua Waterman, co-founder of the Legacy Growers Association. Check them out, legacygrowers.org, the Legacy Growers on Insta. And I'll have that all in the show notes. We'll see you next week.
Love y'all.
Peace.
Thanks to our friends here at Rockbox Recording and Production in Rochester, New York. They are a full professional podcast and video studio designed by a radio guy for podcasters. Audio, video, voiceovers, editing, whatever. Mouth off at Rockbox at rockbox.com.
You can follow Cannabis Cum Laude on LinkedIn and all other social media platforms, as well as Cannabis. And if you'd like to help support the show, search up Cannabis Cum Laude on Patreon. And of course, all of those links are in the show notes. Thanks for watching and listening.